There we go. Good
Hello,
evening. Hi,
hello.
Jenny. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. Well, yeah, it's been a day. Definitely
Yeah,
been a day. No
yeah.
doubt.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Um, so I was a little bit wrong about. Can, can you hear me?
I think so.
That was sorry. Is that better now? Did I fix it? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I had myself on on an open on another tab.
Yeah, let me make sure we can. Let me check my other computer here.
So I was okay. Thank you so much, Mads. I appreciate you.
Thanks,
Um,
Matt. Thanks.
I know I like that little music intro
Me
that
too.
that StreamYard has. It's kind
I
of
didn't
a
see it come up on the other computer, so hopefully
well,
it'll be right. Oh,
Leah's
I like the background.
commenting, Mads is commenting, so we know
Yeah.
there's four of us here.
Yeah, it's good. It's us.
Leah, welcome back.
Yeah, we've
Thank
missed you.
you. Yeah, Leah's just been buried in projects and she loses track of the days of the week.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yep, I did not realize yesterday was or 2 days ago was Thursday. I
Yeah.
thought it was Wednesday.
Wednesday. I was like that. And I
hmm
kept saying something
hmm
about the day, and Mike's like, "No, that's not the right day."
Yep, happens to me constantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I was a little bit wrong about the pirate invasion of Tampa Bay last weekend, where we heard the bombs going or the cannon fire or the fireworks or whatever that was. That was the children's version of Gasparilla. So apparently this weekend is the adult version of Gasparilla, which is kind of like Tampa's Mardi Gras, if you will. It just involves a pirate theme. So if you hear things that sound like bombs going off, it's not. It's
It's just
just fire.
bombs.
It's just fireworks.
That
And
sounds
then
like fun, though.
I don't do crowds of people.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm not big on crowds.
Bethany. Hey girl,
Bethany.
hey. All the way from Washington State.
Cool.
Um, I just spilled ice water. This thing that I always have with me is always full of ice water, and I picked it up and the top wasn't on, and I
Water.
spilled it on Henry's house, and Henry was in his house, and now he's less than happy about that. So we shall see if how much meowing goes on during this stream. Oh, Leah, meet Bethany. Okay, so Leah is my Swiftie. She's in out west also. And Bethany, Leah, is the wonderful young lady who sold me some Taylor Swift Paris tickets at face value, which was
Awesome.
awesome. She's a good person.
Awesome.
So,
I went to Starb tickets, just telling everybody out there.
so we put it up as
There's
viewers'
Mama.
choice. Hey,
Mama's here.
mom. I don't know that Chris is here to complete your Ohio. Um, OHIO, mom.
Yep, and
I
they
guess,
won.
I guess congratulations. I don't
They won.
follow the foot. I don't follow the football.
Yeah, I'm glad. I didn't want Notre Dame after they beat my Georgia.
So, we put up community
Oh,
choice,
Gretchen's here.
viewers choice. Hi, Gretchen, welcome. And I got Alexis saying, "Can you put up a post?" Hi, Susie. Um, Sue is my mom. Susan Ann is my stepmom, and my guess is that my father Pete is with Susan because he's here in Florida right now. In chilly Florida. Did hell freeze over because it snowed in Florida?
Yeah, my daughter got 9 inches. It's crazy.
Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Yep.
It's been cold here, and it's rained, but luckily
Yeah.
we haven't had any snow.
It warmed up here today. I think it got to like 30.
Yeah, it was warmer here today too.
Better than
So
one the other day.
yeah, but the thing is, like, I lived in South Florida for 10 years, and when I first moved up to Tampa, which is now 10 years ago, well, I came up here in the middle of 2014. That winter here was particularly cold, and I was like, I have made a huge mistake. Tampa is way too far north for me to live here. Why did I leave South Florida? What is wrong with me? And what am I going to do next? And I'm
And
from
you're still there.
Ohio. I'm from Ohio. Like, really? I'm such a drama queen. So I like the occasional cold weather, or I did, I guess, when I worked outside of the house, because like that was a reason to put some boots on and, you know, have a whole look. But I don't work outside the house much anymore. So
I
now I'm
love
just,
boots, but these are my boots right now. So, it's got to be stitched, but, I say in slippers, but I love boots. But,
hey,
oh,
hi,
Chris
Chris.
is
Thank
here.
you. Thanks for
How's,
joining. We hope Aaron
how's
feels better.
Aaron? How's
Matt
Aaron?
is in Canada, and Leah says it's
Yeah.
been warmer than normal in Colorado.
Wow.
Mads says she'll just laugh at me to herself. That's fine, Mads. My mom always comes back with, well, it's like 2 degrees here in Ohio. I'm like, yeah, but I left there 20 years ago because of that. I didn't sign up to be cold. Like,
Yeah.
I cut that out of the contract, right? That's not how things are supposed to be around here.
I
So
hate
anyway,
hot. I can't. Anything over like 75.
yeah,
Well,
you would
maybe
not like,
80. Yeah,
you would not,
maybe if I'm in the pool, then like 80-ish. But yeah, anything other than that, I can't.
yeah, you would not like Florida.
Yeah.
Matt's
It's too
just
hot.
saying it's been warmer than usual in Canada. So
Yeah.
see, the world is turning upside down. It's been
Yeah.
we've had 30 in the 30s
Like the
weather
Stranger
lately.
Things, Stranger Thing
Like, I
weather.
used the heated steering wheel thing and my heated seats to drive like half a mile yesterday. Because I wasn't even half a mile. I'm lying. It's like literally across the
Oh
street.
my
I went
God.
to the Walgreens where I could have very easily walked, but was like, no, I'm good.
That's funny.
I'm not gonna do that. Madge says the weather in Canada is good for hot flashes, not that it does much.
I remember those days. Yeah.
So, yeah, so like just a disclaimer, if we get anybody new in, I live in Tampa Bay. This is the weekend they reenact a pirates invasion of the Bay. I thought it was last weekend. That was the children's version. If you hear things like cannonball, bombs, fireworks, that's what it is. I'm not terribly far from downtown Tampa, which is where the river is and where the big pirate ship boat is docked.
Cool.
So anyway, we've had an interesting week, I guess, in terms of true crime. Not a ton of trial stuff, but a ton of hearings, it seems like.
Yeah.
And you and I kind of split it up. I listened to what I could and on very high speeds.
Yeah, I did too.
So
And I watch lives with Trial TV Live.
yeah, I had Trial TV Live on to always want to support Chris and
Yes.
Aaron. And I felt so bad for Chris the other day that he was having
Yeah, Comcast.
Spectrum internet issues. And then that's
Comcast.
just,
It's got
oh,
Comcast.
is it Comcast? I thought it was
Yeah.
Spectrum.
No, they have horrible. My mother-in-law and father-in-law, they live in Winchester, Virginia, and they had Comcast issues too. So they were out there working on their lines today. That's like, I'm so glad I don't have that anymore.
Yeah, I just felt so bad. I know that was so frustrating.
Yeah, he was very frustrated.
Yeah. So I had them on to some extent, but I was trying to read a very confusing police report, and I'm gonna have to just diagram that out. There's no other way. It's not going to make any sense to me until I draw it out. So I thought what we would do, since Alexis commented that I should put up a poll, but I don't know what to poll about. Like, I need some ideas. So Barb Ellison emailed me and asked me some questions about how one becomes an investigator. So we'll talk for a second about that. We're going to talk about what's coming next on the channel. But first, we're just going to do a quick sort of recap of what we found interesting or relevant or pertinent from this week's hearings. And what I want you guys to take away from this channel is I don't expect you to walk away thinking that I think every defendant is innocent and all that sort of thing. That's not it. I want due process, justice, which I have a hard time wrapping my head around. I think that's a personal thing for everybody. But I want to just make sure that people know that there are different viewpoints to this entire process. And a lot of what we see is very pro-prosecution, which that's fine. We hate defendants, which that's fine if you want to do that. But I want you to understand the process. And more than that, I want you to understand the challenges of working in defense, in particular working for court-appointed defense cases. And in my work, it's primarily first-degree felonies, capital murder, death penalty, etc. And I will never remember to say the correct YouTube words.
I'll try to remind you.
I'm also excited to say that Miss Jenny will be joining me and my young colleague, who I mention often, to work with us and help keep the cases straight and organized. And so that ought to be fun. And he will be on at some point. We're still talking about all the things we want to talk about. So
very excited.
Yeah, that'll
to see
be
the flip side of the things, and then
Yeah,
when we
well,
talk about defense,
you're
then
going to
how
get to
really
deal with
Yeah.
the defendant's friends and family, which is always a joy.
Yep. And
Always a
inmates on the phone, and they'll be calling me, and
It should be interesting.
yeah.
But no, it'll
I'm
be
looking forward to it.
good. We had a little bit of a group meeting,
Mhm.
and so that's exciting.
Hi, Tanika. Congratulations on your 10K.
Tanika.
We're very excited for you.
Yes, congratulations, Miss
Yeah.
Tanika and Sugar Bear and Justice. What's the other one? The dogs, Justice and
I'm not good with that.
I forgot the other one. What's the other dog's name, Tanika? So Tanika says sometimes the defendants win, and rightfully so. I loved that Brian Camp was acquitted of the M word over in the Commonwealth. Okay, that one has slid right by me. Liberty, thank you, Yawning Greyhound, and welcome to the channel. Hey, Aaron. Hello.
How you feeling, Aaron?
Everybody knows the name of your dogs, Tanika. I'm sorry I forgot Liberty. Give Liberty a pat on the head for me. Tanika's videos are just so much fun to watch. I really enjoy them.
Yeah.
And hitting 10,000 subscribers is a great milestone. Aaron, hello, my friend. I'm sorry you are not feeling well. We certainly understand that. So yeah, we're going to talk about some of the shenanigans that are going on in due process issues. That's a topic that I'm really interested in. And you guys know that what I'm trying to do is sort of give you a different perspective, obviously. I work on defense teams. I am not the defense attorney. I do have a law degree from law school. I am not a licensed lawyer. So I have the education and the student loans, but not the license. The license that I have is an investigator license and an agency license in the state of Florida. So
I have a question before you start talking about that. Why did you decide to do that instead of becoming a lawyer? I know, but some of our viewers don't know that.
Because I didn't want the responsibility of being a lawyer. And I didn't want to have to I just didn't want to. After all that,
You saw the injustice.
Well,
ways you could help.
I just
in other ways.
I never thought I was going to work anywhere near criminal defense. We've talked about that before,
Mhm.
but I just found that dealing with the day-to-day of being a lawyer, like as you're about to find out from working on, on me and Scotty's little team that we're putting together, you'll find that dealing with it it's just a lot. And so I don't know, I decided I wanted to do what I do, which is consume a lot of data, analyze it, write a lot of reports, look for people, look for things. And we're going to talk a little, like, my job is going to, I think, become a little bit clearer as we set up going into the upcoming weeks and what we have planned, because we have planned some content.
We have.
We have.
We have.
Hey,
There's Scott. Hey,
speak
boss man.
of the attorney. There's Scotty Sonardi has joined the chat. Hello, sir. He says the way I still bear the responsibility from clients and family, though. You are not lying, sir. That is true.
She's amazing, and I'm looking forward to working with you both. So
Oh God,
I'm excited. I'm excited.
It'll be an experience, that's for sure. So okay, you watched a couple of different hearings, so we're gonna just quick kind of make some comments on that before we move into some other things. So what did you watch and what did you take away from it?
Well, I watched a couple with Trial TV Live. I watched like a replay of an older case, so that's, I guess, not something.
Oh, the Henry Segura case. Yeah, that's been really interesting. I've listened to a lot of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched that one. And then of course I'm watching the West Virginia one. It's still ongoing, the Natalie Cochran. That is taking so long. They're having like 2 witnesses a day.
Oh, diabetic overdose.
Yeah,
is that the insulin one?
That's the insulin overdose. Yes.
That judge is moving at the pace of a snail. That's crazy.
Yeah, and he's so cute though. He'll say, "Okay, so tomorrow we're going to have chicken biscuits and we're going to have some donuts." He's the sweetest little man.
Yeah, but as a juror, I would be beyond frustrated because you want that. Matt, I did watch Brian Kohberger hearings, and I do have some things to say. I didn't take notes, but I paid attention. I tried to pay attention to a couple of the current things, and I do have some thoughts.
Yeah.
So
it's just so slow. I mean, even Chris said so on Trial TV. It's just so slow because
it's a slog.
I mean, the way that they're like between the prosecution not doing, I think the reason they're not objecting to a lot of things is because the way the defense is putting on the case is screwing themselves kind of in a way. And I think
so the state put on their case, and now the defense.
It's a little weak. I think their case was a little weak.
Is the defense rebuttal?
I don't know. Yes and no.
Well, Matt says it's hard to follow that case because it's a mess.
It is, and they can't take notes. The judge won't allow any notes. So my ADHD brain is like, but wait. What about this? And then he number one, the defense attorney is annoying as all get out, but I understand what he's doing, but he's very annoying.
His tone is hard to take.
Very condescending. Yeah. And it's just, and then the other one is like quieter at it, but at the same time, he's very rude and condescending. So it's just like, but when they're talking to their witnesses, it's completely different, of course, because it's their witnesses. Right. But then when they got the kids up there, I just didn't like that at all. I didn't like that they put them on the spot like that. And then the son was a little different than the way the daughter was doing. I don't know. It's just, it's a mess. So I will have to wait and see how that, I think the state's going to have a better rebuttal, kind of like they did with Sarah Boone, how they brought things on at the end. I think it's going to be
that was a mic drop if there ever was one.
Yeah. I think it's going to be one of those, but it's still like.
Well, the part that's interesting on that case is that the defense is putting on a case, which you don't often see, because the defense does not have to put on a case. The burden is always on the prosecution.
Yep.
Always, always, always. So the defense does not ever have to say anything except for the
Hmm.
defense rests, Your Honor.
Yeah.
But they don't, that can be it.
Yeah.
And then and the judge will ask if the defendant wants to testify and all of that. And the
Right.
defendants always want to testify, but the lawyers don't want that to
Yeah.
happen, and for
Like in
good reason.
Segura, with Segura, he testified. you know, but
Yeah, he was very blasé about these children.
argumentative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a mess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did you say that something happened in the upcoming
Yeah.
case of
Yeah.
Wagner?
Chris had that up there too. There wasn't really a lot. I mean, it was that, yeah, that judge is a little,
Okay, so I realized, Mads, I see you, the Idaho 4
yeah.
case is messy. I agree.
Yeah.
But
I,
I also need to
I didn't
clarify
watch it.
something. I made a statement either on here or on Chris's Shoot the Shit with Squeegee show that I thought the judge in Idaho was a piece of work. I mixed him up with the judge in the Wagner case, the new judge in Ohio in Piketon.
Yeah.
That's the judge I meant. I flipped it. So I
He's,
apologize for that.
yeah.
Hey, Mandy Strong,
Hey,
welcome.
Mandy.
Welcome,
Um,
welcome.
the Billy
Good to see
Wagner.
you. Did
If you have
anything,
not followed, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, did
Oh,
anything come of whatever
not
hearing?
not really. I know they were talking about. Let me put my notes here. Yeah, they want to change a venue. Is what they had started talking about before, and the judge hasn't granted it yet. So the
And
whole
this is
thing with,
Wagner in
yeah,
Piketon? He's
yeah,
not gonna grant it.
I don't think he is, because
That,
he says that
no,
it's been
that,
out there so long.
that
But
judge,
yeah, the whole thing with this case, with the way this judge came in, I mean, as we saw by the outcome of Jake, who admitted to doing all this bad stuff, and then he gets basically, oh, you can come, you can get out in 30 years. Basically, the way is that this
that's just
judge
insane.
is, the way he was in the hearing was, he was fighting against the prosecutor so much,
Mhm.
but he turned around this one and said, literally, that he says, I don't think anybody, none of the lawyers have been disrespectful at all during these proceedings. Which in the other ones, he's talking about how disrespectful they've been. So somebody must have said something to him, because he's pretending now that nothing bad has happened. And then the whole case, I mean, the whole hearing was basically about Billy Wagner not being able to hear, and they're going to get him hearing aids. So they said all this stuff, about the, wanting to basically have a change in venue. So they gave him like 2 more weeks to file. Yeah, it was like, yeah, like bar talk. Exactly, Mandy. So yeah, there's a lot on that case.
The Wagner case is interesting to me because, yeah, there is a backstory to it. It is
Major.
uh several members of four members of one family unalived 8 members of another family in the same night.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was in a very small town in Ohio, and it was over
Hmm.
custody of a child
Yeah.
who now has absolutely no family.
Right.
And the the Wagner case is just, it piqued my interest because it's such an outlier, and I'm originally from
Yeah.
Ohio. Gretchen Shea, I'm going to talk to you in just a second about Karen Reed.
Yes.
That was one that I did not watch the hearing, but I watched a couple of channel summaries on it, and boy, do I ever have thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So I have Karen Reed. Who else was I trying to follow this week? I already forgot.
I did a little bit on the Richins. And then I did the Kohberger.
Oh,
So I watched
Kohberger, that was the other
those.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
was there anything in Richins that
Well, to finish the Wagner one, they're basically
sorry, yeah.
gonna push it out, I think, until fall. Is basically what they're doing, because the whole change of venue thing, and then there's still
How do you
appeals.
change venue in the state of Ohio, which is tiny? I'm
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah, and there's still
It's
appeals, and there's still an appeal, because there's appeal. They're filing an appeal against the judge, and then against the change of venue. So I mean, by the time they figure those out, they're looking at pushing it off, and then they're trying to find hearing aids for Billy. So that's just really, nothing happened. Nothing happened in
Okay.
that one. I mean, I had a very short paper on that one. So yeah,
I
nothing
think
really
that
happened in
judge
that one.
is not a fan of women.
No,
He is a real
no.
piece of work. I don't even know
I
how
don't
to
care for him.
describe him.
No.
Yeah, Mandy, that case is that old because
Yes.
they have been trying
Yes.
them one by one.
Mhm.
That was a DP case if I ever did see one, and
They're not getting it. So
the sentencing is, oh my God. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
I
So
got a huge file on that in our file. So that's maybe a whole other episode.
but to talk about Karen Reed.
Yeah, I'll let you do that one.
Okay, so
I'm still working on that one. So
let's talk about due process.
yes.
Canton, Massachusetts is lacking in due process.
Lacking
Like,
a lot of things.
what is happening there? If you have not followed the Karen Reed case, the quick summary is that one very snowy night, her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, who was a Boston police officer, was unalived in the front yard of a Canton police officer's home, like basically in a blizzard.
They went out for the night having drinks.
The homeowner, who is also a cop, never came out of the house. Never, not once. The police that did the investigation decided they'd collect DNA in red Solo cups and grocery bags. They used a snow blower. Or a leaf blower.
Leaf blower.
Something to that effect. I mean, it's no longer about whether or, okay, so first of all, when you watch the trial, we watch a lot of these trials, and the victim is lost in the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I really felt like nobody, the way in which the Canton Police Department in particular treated his death was very disrespectful.
Yes,
and I think it would be for anyone. Then you have, oh my God, I just don't even know how to like sort it out in a short way. But basically, the investigation was a non-existent shit show, for lack of a better word. I mean, it was embarrassing. That judge should Baldwin, that was the other one I was looking at this week.
Oh yeah.
That Judge Bev, not a fan.
Prosecutor friendly.
She doesn't rule from the bench, which is okay, that's fine, that's her choice, but she sounds annoyed and exhausted constantly.
But she does.
She's just, yeah, I agree, Mandy, no sympathy for drunk drivers, but Karen, I don't think they've proved their case. Okay, so Gretchen, this is why, here you go. Gretchen, this is why I have this channel. Gretchen says, I'm only interested in it now because Karen Reed could be any of us.
Yeah.
The entire thing was botched and I have no idea how they're trying this again.
Yeah.
Correct. So what happened this week?
We're here.
What happened this week is even more unbelievable. So the video that the prosecution showed of Karen's vehicle, which is a gigantic Lexus SUV with a broken taillight, and the prosecution's theory is she hit him with this Lexus in a driveway, and that was enough to kill him. Forget about the biting guard dog that has since been rehomed, and the weird bite marks, and the 2 days of proffering that expert. I mean,
they're allowing her in now, right, Dr. Russell?
Yeah, she's being allowed in.
Yeah.
Karen Reed is not getting due process, is the long and short of it.
No.
So they found an expert to review this clearly edited, bizarre video from the Sally Port where her car was brought, and it was inverted. Like there were a lot of things sketched with that.
It's edited.
So they hire this person, they bring the person, and then when the person gets there, they're saying, oh, no, we don't have that video anymore.
Purged. So it was like 30 days
it's
until
just
they kept
gone.
or something?
It's just gone. Mandy says,
OnlyFans.
at Gretchen Shea, I think KR hit him, but the investigation was
Some
such a
great
train
people
wreck and they need to drop it. I agree. Hi,
Yeah.
I vamos. Hi, OnlyFan. Good to see you. Hi, therapist. Hi, Kristen.
Therapist.
Good to see you
everybody
guys.
tonight.
So I'm of the personal opinion that I don't think a person and her speed could have broken the taillight on that Lexus. That is thick glass. I'm more of the mind that maybe it was Higgins who had the snowplow on the Jeep that might have caused the breakage of her taillight. I don't know. I'm not convinced she did it, and I'm not overly defense sympathetic, but it could be any one of us. You're exactly right about that. And this woman has suffered. She's got health issues. She has lost everything essentially, and has had a private defense. And the fact that the court is going to retry this case, and the jury verdict came out with guilty. They said guilty on one count and not guilty on two. And so what the judge didn't even query anything any further and just declared a mistrial.
Yeah.
So it was a mess. And now they are messing around with, hey Alexis, nice to see you.
Hey.
Now they are messing around with this video and it not being there. And so
and there was another video too they found.
So,
where Higgins went into the police department, and then all of a sudden there's a new video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We will never know exactly what happened to John, not beyond a reasonable doubt. So they need to drop it. They do need to drop it. And they are messing around with the mess only fan. Gretchen says, I also think Judge Bev messed it up the first time. I agree. Like, she didn't take any time on that to anything. I mean, the lawyers were knocked off their feet. I think she should be recused from this case at this point.
Yeah, I do too.
They've brought in a special prosecutor who is either going to go down with the ship and lose his own reputation and business, or he's going to say, sorry, I'm out.
Yeah.
Which I'm thinking he probably should do. And the way they've treated that expert, the dog bite expert, you would never find another person on the planet with that woman's qualifications. And they acted like she was some kind of quack. It was insane. So what I take away,
she got a little feisty in there.
I don't blame her.
That. I can give her that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tanika is saying that the jury instructions alone should be enough for Bev to recuse herself.
Yeah,
I do not
explain them at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the mistrial happened.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. I agree with that. So Karen Reed is a victim of due process gone amok or being non-existent, right? Yeah. Because my position is everybody deserves due process, which means no effing around from the police, from the experts on the prosecution side, or the judge, or the prosecutors. Right. Not to say that every defense attorney out there is a good, clean defense attorney. Not saying that. Not saying that people should not be tried, and if found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, they should not be convicted. Not saying that. I'm saying it should be a transparent process, one, which is something that's going on in the Idaho case. It should be a transparent process. That also goes back to the Wagner case, where they allowed witnesses to not be not only video recorded, which I understand, but also audio. And they allowed that for the police and for
Angela
and Jake Wagner, who were both charged with these crimes. And I don't like it. I don't like secrecy in these proceedings. And we're seeing that happen to some extent in Idaho. They got a change of venue there. Now
I like this judge a lot better than the last one.
I think, what are they arguing in Kohberger right now? They're arguing over the digital evidence, right?
Well, the way it's happening there is they're saying that I've got a bunch of notes on this one. They had already argued this before, and they've already set some ground rules, but now they're coming back because defense has found more like stuff they want to talk about. Basically, there was like 13 different areas of affidavits for probable cause, and they're saying that it was obtained wrong, like as far as the DNA, the way that it was with the whole IgG, which is the
Oh,
investigative
right.
genetic
Okay. Yeah.
genealogy.
The genetic
Yeah.
genealogy. I'd be
Yep.
really interested
Yep.
to know how you guys feel about the use of genetic
Yep.
genealogy. And if you don't know, it's only
There's a
some
movie
of the
on that.
companies that so we all have heard of, what's the main one?
Ancestry.com
23andMe or
and
Ancestry.com.
ancestry.
So
Yeah.
you voluntarily provide your DNA, right?
Hmm.
And it's how they caught the Golden State Killer.
Yes. That's when it was
But
first major.
there's only, I believe, 3 databases that will work with law enforcement right now. And that's how they got to Kohberger, right? That was a piece of
Yeah.
it. So they've got that piece from the knife sheath. Then they've got this whole big digital piece, right? And we've spent the last 4 weeks talking about digital evidence. If you think we're done, we're not, but I'm giving you a break. So
It'll always come into play in everything we talk about.
it's
So
always, and it's going to
yeah.
continue to. And in fact, in one of our cases right now, there are apparently, I'll get this wrong, I'm sure, but there were 10 phones. And the other day at pretrial, the prosecution said, "Oh, we just found another phone." Case is set for trial in a week. And they need a hard drive to give us the digital download of this phone. And in that footage that I presented last week, and thank you for those of you who suffered through that with us, that expert said that he spent somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 hours on one phone. So we've got 10 phones and a trial coming, and the judge said, "No, we're not going to give you a continuance on that," which is just insane.
What year was?
Um,
Was that?
what was the
that one?
38-year-old cold case we recently watched that was solved using IgG? I have no idea. Did
Oh
you
my
watch it on
gosh.
trial TV?
Yeah.
Chris
What
might
was
be
that?
able to answer if he's still
I know
around.
it, but I can't.
It's all right. We got a lot of
It'll come
cases.
to me as it'll come to me like in the middle of a brain fart somewhere.
Of
I know
course.
I know what it is. We talked about it before.
How
Yeah.
do you got Iowa versus Burns, says Mandy Strong.
Oh yeah. That's it. I can never
How
remember
do you
it.
guys feel about that? About them using genetic DNA to, so they're not only using it, right, to solve crimes, but they're using it to exonerate people,
Yeah, I like
which
it.
I'm all for that.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the big thing with this one, is because what they said, what the defense is saying, is that, okay, that's what the whole thing came down to. They're saying that there was 3 stages that warrants should have been given, and I'll tell you what the state and what the judge is saying. They said that there should have been a warrant from the original DNA, but the judge is like, at a crime scene, you don't need a warrant. It's part of the crime scene. You don't need a warrant for something from a crime scene. So
Okay.
that's a no. You don't need that. And then they said that snip of the DNA, and it's at a lab. Okay, so that's part of the way they do crime scenes. So they lost on that one. He hasn't made his ruling yet, but that's pretty much a go. And then they said that there should have been a warrant when it was transferred. That snip was transferred to the FBI to do the IgG work. And then when they did the trash pool in Pennsylvania. So that's like with the big thing. And they're saying that it's like from there went part, like that's one of their things that they're talking about suppressing. And then that led to all this other stuff. So it's like almost, like the fruit of the poison tree almost. It's almost the same kind of.
So
So they're saying,
because this, I guess we're calling this little channel a true crime channel, right? Since I work in true crime. And so I'm pretty sure all of my people who watch this and who watch because they are true crime people and they are not related to me know that when you put your trash out on the curb, that is free game. You can, the
yeah.
police are free to come and collect that and they do not need a warrant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they said,
So
they said, that's what they said, that they could also call a trash company and say, okay, it's out here. So I need you to get an empty one, fill it up, and then we can take it from there. But if it's like not put out, like if it's down in their driveway, they're not allowed to go into
no,
the driveway.
they
It
can't
has
do
to
that.
be out, which is where
Right.
it was. You know, it was
Right.
out there. So the judge is like, that's not what they did. So we're waiting.
Gretchen Shea is
thing.
saying that the entire reason she's not done 23andMe is because of linking to crimes, not that she's doing crimes.
I want to do it because I'm adopted, and I've always wanted to know. Mike's like, "Oh no, you're not doing that because you're not having your DNA out there, so he won't let me do it." I want to know.
Mandy Strong says, "Now I'm curious if they got a warrant to use IGG to solve the Burns case." I wish I could answer your question, and maybe
remember it again.
If Chris is floating around in here, maybe he can. I don't know.
I didn't take notes because Chris takes such good notes. I didn't take them.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to work and listen at the same time. So I'm just trying to hit pieces that, like, when something stands out to me, I'm attempting to like make a little memory or a note of it, or I text Jenny, or I take a screenshot and then I don't remember why I took the screenshot. Mandy did ancestry DNA, which I believe my dad has done that to figure out like where we came from.
That's what I want to do.
Chris retired for the evening for season 2 of Bad Sisters. Don't blame me, Chris. You had a hell of a week.
I want to watch that.
He had such a week.
Yeah, he did.
So, okay.
So that was the one thing they talked about. And then the judge is like, okay, tell me the case law. And they're like, well, we don't really have any. He's like, well, I need case law to back up what you're saying. So that was like a thing. And then that was the one thing they were talking about. And then they were talking about the things they want thrown out because they said that because of some of this other stuff, there was a witness that testified, and they had like a closed hearing in there too.
Right. So part of it was closed and part of it was open.
Yeah.
And from my understanding is Ann Taylor and company argued their butts off, but did not really gain any ground.
Yeah, they argued like what the part that was closed was the witnesses for the IGG. But then they were able to talk about it, but that was done. Yes, that's what I wanted to do, but not having any family members known. That's
right, because you were adopted. Hi, Pammy. Welcome.
Hi, Pammy.
Do you need to set an alarm like Mel and Leah? Just asking for a friend. Yes. Mandy Strong, Chris did stream all week long days, 3 different trials. He does indeed deserve time off.
But they want to suppress the AT&T warrants, the Apple warrants, the Google warrants, the arrest warrants, because they're saying they weren't done correctly.
Affidavits, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is something I want to go back and look at, because what I've been telling Scotty, or what Scotty and I have been talking about ad nauseum, right, is it's hard to put up a defense anymore. So what we need to be doing is eyeballing those warrants and the affidavits for the warrants, which is basically a cop who lays out his theory of the case.
That's what happened in the Kouri Richins too.
So on so-and-so's, this case that that I'm working on for Scotty right now involves all these different things. So maybe when it's over, I can talk about it. But basically, they got to the kids through 1 social media, 2 surveillance cameras, 3 high school resource officers. But before you can get a warrant, you must write an affidavit of probable cause. Might be called something different in different states. If you will remember, if you've been watching this channel for a minute, you know that I'm in Florida. We don't have district attorneys here. We have the state's attorneys. So ours are assistant state's attorneys, and then we have the attorney general's office. And I have a friend who's actually an assistant deputy. What do they call it?
ADAs?
Assistant. No, she's in the attorney general's office. Assistant attorney general. I don't know. I have to double check. So anyway, it's the story, right? They present the story to the judge. The problem with these warrants is that they are really broad. And we've been talking about the, the kind of digital data, right? The last couple of weeks, I've been trying to bring you pieces of that. And we are going to dip in and out of digital data because it's not like it's a super easy topic to cover quickly. It's not one that, I'm having an easy time explaining. I'm trying, and I'm not an expert at it, right? But I deal with it every day.
Yeah.
And one of the pieces I feel that is very important about the digital world. So let's call it your cell phones, your iPads, your computer, your iCloud account, your Google account, all of these things, I'm referring to that as digital data. That is, in my opinion, is the equal to when like DNA, like blood cells, whatever, first sort of came on the scene, right? Now it's the digital information.
It's almost like a digital DNA almost.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let me look over here and see what chat is saying. Hi to each other. So Mandy says, Ann Taylor, who is the defense attorney in Brian Kohberger, she argued that the FBI went into databases that were not permitted to by policy. So Mandy, I'm assuming you mean the genetic genealogy databases that they did go into. Like I said, not all of them will work with law enforcement.
Right.
So, there's obviously there's two sides to the coin, right?
Yeah.
There's the use for exoneration or for elimination, and then the use for conviction. I'm not against anything that can, help clarify. But it begs the question, what I got, I guess, Mandy, from listening with half an ear to Kohberger is that those warrants are really, really broad.
Yeah.
And they're overly broad, which
she said that they said they wouldn't go into those, according to what Ann Taylor said. Yeah. She said that they said they weren't going to go into those, and then they turned around and did those databases. So that's one of the things
that the defense did, or the prosecution went in. The prosecution went in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it everything comes back to privacy interests, and do we even have any anymore, right?
Right.
Because it used to be like an expectation of privacy. You had an expectation of privacy within your own home, and I think they were arguing the FBI did it. I think we should just say the FBI did everything because,
Well, the one thing too,
I think they were arguing about his Amazon history as well, right?
Like that, and Google, all that stuff. But one of the things they talked about, because even the state objected, and then of course the judge kind of agreed, the fact that they were talking about not his DNA, but the genealogy, because that's not private. Once you give your DNA information to the genealogy, it's out there. It's not private anymore. So the IgG was not his, it was theirs. It was like everybody else's genetics. So it'd be like me trying to say that the person
who submitted it, that information belongs to them. But
well,
surely
it's already out there. So as far as the privacy law wouldn't apply to him.
Isn't there a privacy policy? Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So by them claiming that his privacy was, gone into, like his was,
it's kind of like too late because the relative that put it out there waived your right.
So it doesn't
so
apply
I think
to him.
That's the argument, right? I think that's what. So I've been thinking a lot, right, about how we move forward and keep having discussions that hopefully entertain and educate you guys a little bit more. And I want a discussion, right? I just also wanted to pull the curtain back a little bit and let you see how imbalanced things are, because the scales are not equal. But I
Yeah.
think that some of the topics that we've talked about in the couple of months that I've had this channel are going to be very relevant, and they're going to keep coming up over and over and over again. So whatever, and I'm seeing them in my own cases. So whenever I can, I am trying to bring you actual documents, right, from my cases, because they are very much on point as to what we're seeing be streamed on YouTube in the true crime world. There are complexities to it, and I've been complaining and saying over and over again, like, I never stop saying it, feels like we're getting teenagers shooting teenagers. It's getting caught on surveillance camera. It's on social media. It's on their phones. It's in their iCloud. It's in their
Walmart
text
cameras.
history. It's in their Cash App. And they are going to jail at 16 to await trial. And the state wants to lock them up for life.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating, right? How do you find reasonable doubt if it's on camera? Well, you don't.
Right.
But the only thing we can do, I feel like, I'm not here to get guilty people off. I'm here to make sure that people's rights are upheld. Is kind of the way that I see my job, right? Is to review those warrants, review those probable cause affidavits, review the phone data. So here's what they can do, right? They take an extraction, they take the Cellbrite extraction of the phone. They choose, the police, whether they take 6 months or your entire phone.
Right.
Then when they submit it over to us, they give us the extraction file, which we have to run the Cellbrite program to access. And then they give us the PDF file, which I showed you guys, a 4,000 page one. We've got them in the tens of thousands of pages. It just depends on how much you use your phone. But the bottom line is that it's the police, it's law enforcement that get to select what comes out of the phone to begin with. I have some problems with that.
That's one of the things they were talking about too. They wanted Frank's hearing because of what they did with some of the evidence to get him. Like as far as
so Mandy says they had Brian Kohberger as the person of interest long before the IGG. The IGG just led to his arrest as a prime suspect, right? Honestly, Mandy,
that's what they went to Frank's hearing for.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have not paid very close. Like, I'm gonna have to sit down one weekend and like blow my way through some of these. Gretchen says, I do think the IGG aspect is very interesting, and I do wonder how it will factor in the future. I think it's going to be a very big deal.
I do too. Yeah. They were talking about they the videos we talk about a lot, about how the video of his car and all that stuff. Well, when they did the probable cause for the affidavit, they actually turned in pieces of videos put together saying that it was his car. And they said it was like a 2011 to 2013. But when they pulled him over, his was a 2016. So when they went to the college to find him, they didn't even do anything. They put pieces together, basically, is what they're claiming. That's why they went to Frank's hearing, because they're saying that they found info that was different than what they did. So it was basically, I've got it written in like little notes, but like in my head I know what they're saying. But it's like the car wasn't easily as identified as what they were putting into this probable cause affidavit. So yeah, there's like a whole shit show with that.
To answer Mandy's question, the FBI followed Brian Kohberger from Washington State to Pennsylvania. So what led them to him? It wasn't the IGG. The IGG led to his arrest. So you're correct, Mandy. And I think it's a combination of what we've been talking about, right? Which is on the digital data, they can author a probable cause affidavit or freeze to Google and pull
certain
all of
parts.
like every phone that's pinging off a cell tower at a certain time can be caught within this warrant. And I
Right.
have completely forgotten the term for it. It's like, but it's like they'll give a location and
So
then
like
a
the
time
catastrophe?
frame.
Something
Yeah,
like
it's like the
report?
cast, but it's where they're catching everybody whose phone is within that area. So like I've
Okay.
used the example before where you could be driving past the Walgreens where robberies take place, and so your
Like
phone
Chin.
does that little handshake thing with the tower, and now all of a sudden your phone has shown up in an investigation. So Mandy, to be completely honest, I have not followed Brian Kohberger as closely because I thought it was being very sensationalized. But now I'm understanding there's a lot of issues there
Yeah.
that apply directly to a defendant. And I am going to pay more attention to it because I'm very interested in the procedural aspects of it. Right. And what I want to make sure is that if it were me or you or whomever who was suddenly pulled over, or hey, you were wearing a gray hoodie and you were in Walgreens at the
Right.
same time this XYZ happened, now you're a suspect, right? I want to make sure that we're understanding what is happening from not at the trial, because there are great lawyers on YouTube. You have great lawyers breaking down what is happening at the trial. What I'm here to do, I feel like, is to show you what it's like to be the defendant
And all the
before
hearings.
trial,
Yeah. And I've got
before
like
trial.
in our file in Drive, I've got like the warrants and everything in there for him too.
Yeah, I
So
need to review some of the
yeah,
stuff. So
I'll add some stuff in.
Mandy says we don't have a legit justice system without constitutional rights being followed. Only fan who has decided that I need to rename this channel to How to Crime with PI Sam says if you crime, skip the country and go to Indonesia, and to hit him up while I'm at it. I do have a new passport, only fan,
I don't
so
have one. I don't
no
have one.
problem.
Yeah. I've been
Oh,
on the airplane since the army, so that's a really long
Geofence,
time ago.
that's the word I was looking for,
Oh,
Pammy.
okay.
Thank you so much. Um,
See the Cory Richins thing, the same kind of things happening with her but I almost got finished her hearing today. I didn't get finished with the rest of it, but they're also saying that how they applied for the warrants weren't done correctly. So that they didn't, like, one of the warrants was for the counterfeit pills and a copper cup, and they found the famous notebook was seen at that time. So they found evidence in the notebook, so they had to write another warrant real quick, and then it was invalid how they found it, but the prosecution admitted that it was wrong, so they're going to have to do I wrote that down. I didn't write it. Give me a second. They conceded that it happened, so they're going to have a discovery argument about it. But like the hearing that was happening yesterday about, I think yesterday, wasn't about that. So the judge is like, wait. I love to hear that man talk. He's
one
like,
thing at a time. Yeah.
yeah, he's like, that's not what we're here for. We're going to talk about that
Right.
another time, because she kept
Right.
trying to add it to her, poisonous tree, the fruit of the poison tree. And he's like, that's
a separate issue.
It's a separate issue. Yeah. But she was talking about that. And then she was like questioning the witness. They had to actually stop part of it and do that part outside of the scope of a YouTube land and in there, because they were worried about tainting the jury pool, and some of the stuff they were getting to was getting very specific. He's like, let's just stop a minute and then we'll get back into it again, because it was getting too specific with
So
evidence.
it's interesting to me, this
They came right
idea,
back.
the fact that these cases, that all of us can sit and watch these trials on YouTube has really, I don't think that the justice system as a whole has caught up with that
Right.
that
Like Maryland, they won't allow
concept
any of it.
yet.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to put that into words. Mandy says at Florida PI Sam, did you watch the cases which solved the hit on Dr. Teresa Sievers from the Bradenton area? Cell data solved that case. No, ma'am.
I've heard the name, but I haven't
I
followed up with
don't
Mandy.
know.
Yeah, I have not.
That does not ring a bell for me, although Bradenton is not far from me. So no, I'm sorry, I didn't start watching YouTube trials until Johnny Depp. And that's sort of when I picked it up, and I've been off and on. And then the pandemic hit, and I was home all the time, so I had YouTube on all the time. And then I just kind of got more interested in the trials, where I had just before been listening to cases on podcasts until I got to an episode of Court Junkie. They did one of my cases,
Oh, wow.
and I don't think they did it right, and I got kind of mad, and I haven't been listening to so many podcasts.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Ann Taylor is fighting the IGG, which was South. I think she means supposed to
Source.
ID him.
Oh.
But they knew who he was 10 days after the crime. So why is attorney so worried about the DNA? Again, Mandy, it may just be a matter of process. Like,
yeah, that's what they're fighting.
were his rights followed? And it's in the judge's best interest, and even the prosecution's best interest, to follow due process, because otherwise the case comes back on appeal, and
Right.
nobody likes that, right? And then more money is spent, and more time is spent in jail, and more witnesses disappear, and on and on and on it goes. Well, hello, Mel. We invoked your name, so that must be what you heard. So Alexis has no reasonable expectation of privacy for DNA you've left at a crime scene. No reasonable
Correct.
expectation of privacy for DNA
Yep.
you've left anywhere
That's what
except
she
your
was
own
trying to-
home.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
was happening. That's what she was
exactly.
trying to say. Yeah.
Mandy says they started with the tower dumps, not having a clue who was involved. The amount of work that went into that case is jaw-dropping.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Mandy,
they also altered videos. They altered like the dog barking video, because they only gave a snippet of that dog barking video, and apparently it was even after the M person left, the dog was still barking. So they left that part out when they sent it for the
See, they're not
probable
supposed
cause.
to be able to pick and choose, right?
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah,
rule of
that's what they were doing.
completeness, I believe is what it's called, if I'm
So, yeah,
remembering
that's one of
evidence
the things
correctly.
they talked about this week. So it's like, ooh, they might have done some things wrong. But of course, that's what the defense is saying.
So,
we don't know whether it's true yet. You know what I mean? Until
I respect Ann Taylor. Oh yeah, Mel. I forgot you were having surgery. I'm sorry to hear that. It was extensive. Wow. And we wish you a speedy recovery.
Yes, we do.
I
hope you're feeling okay, Mel.
Mandy says that's what is getting interesting, how they link that DNA to Brian Kohberger IGG without a warrant. So I think the question is, did they need a warrant for the IGG? You know what? I need to go back and watch it. I really do, before I speak out of turn and get it wrong. But what I think Ann Taylor is doing is ensuring his due process rights, especially because it's, except for that little bit of DNA, as I understand it, it's circumstantial, right? It was like he was caught in, his cell phone shows him in the area. We know he studied criminal, there's just these different pieces or whatever. And I think that's what a lot of the defense attorneys have to do right now, is like, okay, so you're showing us this like smoking gun, no pun intended, piece of evidence. You're on video doing what you're doing, but was that evidence obtained correctly?
Right.
And I think that's where attorneys need to stop and defense attorneys need to pay more attention to police procedures, to what the prosecution is doing, to where the evidence is coming from, and where is it going, and who is handling it.
They need to watch more YouTube.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Pammy says IGG is public knowledge. Okay, so what you're saying, Pammy, is that when you send in your DNA, you're signing away your privacy rights. I'm not saying you're wrong. That's just
that's what the prosecution was saying. Even the judge was, pretty much agreeing with that. So
because like we all agree to the terms of service when you download an app or something. So I'm just curious as to what the terms of service would be on the genealogical websites. And to be honest, I haven't had a case like that come up.
Yeah.
Tammy
It'll be
says, yes,
interesting.
we agree to the terms.
Mhm.
Okay. So, I mean, this is
Yeah.
an ongoing conversation. I think we're
Yeah.
having evolving conversations. And I think that instead of, taking it for granted that law enforcement did it right, that the prosecution is being on the up and up, I think the lesson here is to pay attention, that we need to be paying attention and stop taking things for granted, right? You have
Yeah.
the presumption of innocence. Tanika says, Mel, sorry to hear that the surgery didn't go to plan. Sending warm hugs and good vibrations for perfect healing. We all feel that way. Mel,
Yes, we do.
yeah. Pammy says she's done Ancestry and there are click-through bullet points, so to speak. I mean, none of us are reading the agreements when we, and the first thing they teach you in your very expensive law school education is to read the, the fine
all the way
print,
down.
right?
Yeah.
And to read very, very closely. So
It'd be interesting to see what the judge comes back, because if the judge says that those things needed warrants, they weren't obtained, it was wrong, that throws the whole DNA out. So that if that does happen, and they just lost their smoking GUN. So that's going to be huge.
So the lesson, Gretchen Gretchen says that submitting DNA is signing away your right to privacy, so don't let family do ancestry if you're going to do crimes.
Yeah. It's about right, Gretchen. It's about right.
And also, if you're going to do crimes, you're going to get yourself a car from like 1975, right?
Flip phones.
No, not even a flip phone.
They can do them too. Yeah.
Leo says, okay, so wait, hold on. Let me pull this one up. Alexa says, in my opinion, it would be different if it was Brian Kohberger himself who sent his DNA into Ancestry, but it's not. This is DNA based on family.
Correct.
Right. So this is going to be an ongoing conversation, and one in which I need to become more educated. Leah says, I don't trust anyone anymore, not law enforcement, not judges, not lawyers, nobody. Leah, welcome to my world. Like really, welcome to my world. You would be, yeah. I just can't even. Yes, Mel, you're welcome. Everybody wishes you well. Absolutely. Mandy says, do I really care if law enforcement uses my DNA to solve a homicide? No. Okay. Gretchen, I absolutely believe that that legislation may be coming about this. Like I said, I feel like things are moving really fast in terms of like the digital information, how much of it is out there, who can get to it, what is connecting. Like I said, we're moving away from that topic for the time being. We are going to come back to it in spurts because it's a lot of information, and
kind of within what we're talking about.
Yeah, it could be really tedious, and I don't want to drive you all nuts. So, the things that we're talking about, okay, so they have your digital information, they have you on surveillance camera. I'm just trying to think through this case that I'm trying to get through. There's a robbery, and they don't have the actual robbery on surveillance, but they have other surveillance footage, and then they have photos from iCloud and Instagram. And then the victim IDs the perpetrators, but then the high school resource officers do as well. So there's all these different ways. You don't actually have to know or see the crime, but also we are knowing and seeing the crime in some cases. So it's just really interesting. And I'm not sure that the judges are caught up. And I don't know that the lawyers are either, to be honest, because if you watch a trial and you see that they can't work the tech in the courtroom, then you know that they're not I mean, they do their best, right? Most lawyers are the good ones are overworked,
Yeah.
and trying to, you have to work with your expert to understand even what questions you need to be asking of, say, the prosecution's expert. You need to be talking to your DNA person about their analysis so that you can challenge the prosecution's person. And I have a case, a personal case that was tried twice, that is going to be the subject of an upcoming podcast, as soon as I find the case files, that I am going to be doing with my friend Bethany from Washington. And that is most likely going to be like a record, push out to podcast platforms as well as YouTube. But it's a really interesting um, case because they convicted him the first time on the presumption that there was DNA because the state said so. And it turned out that there wasn't any, but we worked really close hand in hand with our DNA guy, who actually is located in Washington State, now that I think about it. Anyway, that case to me was like the last real investigation I've witnessed, because I don't have a whole lot to investigate anymore, but we're going to talk about that in a second. Okay, so let's go over here.
Yeah.
Gretchen says we shouldn't just be blasé about our rights, whatever we may be talking about. I agree with you 100%. And I think a lot of us just think, oh, it's too complicated, or, oh, I'm not going to worry about that, or whatever. But like I always say, I can't give you legal advice. I am not a licensed attorney. This is not a legal advice channel. I will give you one piece of common sense advice, which is, if you are ever called into question by the police, you take a lawyer with you. I do not care if it's a real estate lawyer or a contracts lawyer. Just take a lawyer with you, okay? Because part of what we've got coming for you is to show what happens when you don't.
Or ask for one as soon as you even get called in.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care how innocent you are. Take a lawyer.
Yeah.
Mandy says technology is moving way faster than the law and constitutional rights, possibly. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I agree with that. They never contemplated what we've got. Sorry. Okay, so Mel is having a conversation with other chatters about her health. Mandy says the Cochran case is driving me nuts. If the courtroom has outdated tech, do not allow testimony via Zoom. I mean,
yeah, that was ridiculous.
The audio,
that's another reason it's taken so long.
The video / audio that I tried to bring you last week. I mean, the audio was terrible, and then there was me sort of fumbling around with it. I promise my YouTube skills will improve over time. So I think in these cases that we're interested in, that we're going to see come forward, or see more of this year, I think that the issues that I deal with in my cases are very much reflective of what we're seeing happen on YouTube. And so the conversation I want to have is to answer your questions about that, but to also bring you, hey, you didn't see this part of that, right? Because we know that the jury doesn't see everything, but do you know that you also don't see everything?
Yeah.
Right.
That's like, for instance, the fact that prosecution, I see this a lot in the comment sections of videos and stuff. Why doesn't the defense have this person? Why doesn't the defense have that person? Because a lot of times they don't have the money. Like, the prosecution has money for 18 experts.
Shall we go back to the JAC?
They might only have money for 2 witnesses compared to 18 experts,
Right. On a privately funded defense, that's a really good way to go broke really, really fast. Yeah. So I talk about the JAC with some regularity. That is how I got onto YouTube in the first place, was during the Sarah Boone trial. I was watching some misinformation go floating around about the cost of Sarah's defense. I worked on Sarah's case very, very, very early on. I used to work for Prison Break Investigations, investigator Billy Lane, who, yes, will be a guest on this channel as soon as I catch up with him and we figure out what we're going to talk about. The JAC is the Justice Administration Commission for the state of Florida. They pay for public defense. So for the public defender's office salaries, all the way down to people like me who are contract vendors. So I have a contract with the JAC, which says that they can say to the to private defense attorneys who have either an indigent for cost case or which means that the attorney's being paid for, but all the costs are being paid by the state, or simply a completely indigent defense, that they can put a motion into the court, into the JAC, requesting the services of an investigator. And that's how I get my work. We are fighting, and when I say we, I mean my colleague who I work most closely with, Scotty Sonardi, who we saw earlier, and who Jenny will be working with as well. We are fighting on a case I have been complaining about since I came on this little channel I made. And that kid was tried in August. He was convicted in August. I started the day he was convicted trying to get him evaluated, not because there's a mental health issue, but because he was 16, 17 at the time of the crime. It's been 2 years. He's been locked up the entire time. And he deserves to be evaluated by a juvenile sentencing expert. And that goes to mitigation. Am I saying that he should not be punished for his role, whatever that may be, in this crime? I'm not saying that. But I'm also not a fan of the idea of taking a 16-year-old and sentencing him to life. And in Florida, we have no parole. So if you get life in Florida, you get life, and that's it. So Scotty is now fighting with the JAC, who on their website says juvenile sentencing specialist. Like that's an option. You can have that. But Christian Lake gets on the phone and says, no, you want a mental health expert. And it's no, we don't want a mental health expert. We want a juvenile sentencing specialist. There are differences between forensic psychiatry. There's all these different pieces that come into play. And the state is saying, okay, we don't want to pay your expert $250 an hour. That's too much. But every expert we contact wants $250. The JAC wants to pay them, I don't know, I want to say like $125, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So now they're pushing back. Well, do you think the prosecution has a financial limit on any expert that they're going to bring in? Because they bring the FBI.
Yeah.
So why should we not be able to get the proper expert in to have a conversation, evaluation with a kid who is looking at spending the rest of his life in prison? And if the court doesn't allow it, that means his case can be overturned on appeal because it happened in Leon County.
Right.
That's my soapbox. Okay, let's move on. See where I left you guys. Okay, so Mel. Okay. Mandy says, how many innocent people are currently in prison and or on death row? Too many. Absolutely. And I say it often, and I don't know the numbers, but I should absolutely look it up, or that, which means, Jenny, can you please look up what is the wrongful conviction rate in Florida? Because I think it's really high and we have a lot of people on death row. I have a former client on death row right now. Okay. So yeah, we all agree that we're happy for Sarah Boone because that's how we all met each other. I agree with that. Therapists,
Florida, 4 to 6% are innocent.
How many?
4 to 6%. 94% of exonerees in Florida have not received the
compensation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a whole episode we can talk about.
Yeah.
Because there's, that goes right along with what we're talking about with the ancestry DNA. Therapist, who I have asked to be a guest on this channel at some point whenever she feels like it, says, I love that you're able to hold both of those perspectives in your mind. A great majority of people don't seem to be able to. Yeah, I agree, and also what I'm seeing with, well, thank you, Kristen, for saying that. What we're seeing though is parents in complete denial. Then I've got a person who committed a homicide or was involved in it in Florida. That's called the principal theory. So it's felony murder in the during the commission of another felony. In this case, it was aggravated robbery. Don't know who did what exactly, but under the principal theory, if you're there, you're just as guilty as the person who did it. And this happened within a car. And that particular defendant thinks that the law should be that if you're under 21, then you shouldn't really be punished for any of your crimes, and that the law is wrong. And that also he thinks he should be out in 10 years so he can have a family. And the person that was unalived was a good Samaritan trying to do him a favor. We had a very strong conversation at the jail about his attitude towards that. And by the time, before I even got back out to my car, my cell phone, I was getting hate messages from his people who enabled him his entire life. It's just insane. Gretchen says, I am also in Florida and life for a kid isn't accessible. They should be allowed. Agreed. We have found a person that we really want to work with very much. She's out of Sarasota, and we want to get her put on our cases. And what we're learning as we go is that as soon as a notice of appearance is filed, as soon as the clerk declares someone indigent, is that we have to start filing motions for costs on all these things. And what the JAC is willing to pay and what reality is are two very, very different things. I'm paid by the hour at a fixed rate. And if the JAC doesn't like what I did, if they don't think it's reasonable, then they're going to fight me in court on whether they pay me or not, which is really fun. And if you hear me complain about invoicing, that's why it takes me an entire day, because I'm really bad about keeping time. Mandy says, that is not right. When are you going to lock up a child for life? Afford them every defense possible. I agree. I had someone on another channel's chat come for me asking if they were my children, had they committed a violent crime, like why did I think there should be due process for a young person? And I said, well, nope, not my kids. I say they're mine, meaning my clients, and I work as a criminal defense investigator in Florida for the indigent. You can also hire me if you want to. Let's see. Mandy says, have you ever considered working for the Innocence Project? Yeah, I've thought about it. I'm thinking a lot about my job, honestly, and I have a lot of concerns about where investigations go. I know that getting hired on with the Innocence Project is very difficult to do, and also nonprofits have limited budgets. Okay, so Jenny says there are 280 on death row in Florida as of October 12th. So Mandy, interesting that you say that. I would love to see coverage of innocent people being convicted, then conviction overturned. Public awareness is needed. So the case that I'm going to bring to you on my podcast, which is called Not Another True Crime Podcast, is going to be that. And it's from my perspective. And Bethany is waiting on me to get my crap together, which I'm working on it. Laura, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Laura
I
says,
do
hello,
too.
ladies. Just wanted to stop by and say hi and hit the like for you. Hey, if you guys would push that like button, I'd love it so much, or tap it,
Please.
or, click it,
Leave your DNA on it.
whatever needs to be done. I really appreciate that.
And don't forget afterwards to leave some comments on the video for
comments
us
help.
too.
Did you know?
Yeah.
I think we're at 300. Is it 374 subscribers? So I just need one more to 364. Thank you. Sorry.
Still.
Didn't mean to inflate. Could we have 365 by the time we leave the stream? That'd be awesome.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
OnlyFans says yes,
Bop
please
it,
get
twist it.
therapist. Up Steven Stearns specifically. Kristen knows that she's got an open invitation, and whenever the time is right, she can come. Laura, we appreciate you so much for stopping by. Therapist has some words for OnlyFans. I'm just going to leave that between the two of them.
Kristen says, bop it, twist it.
Yeah, I don't like that you can't tag people on your phone. That's just annoying. That is just beyond. Okay, Andy says, when the JAC will not fund an adequate defense, can that fact be used on appeal, especially sentencing guidelines? So yeah, it can be used on appeal. But it could also, there's a couple different ways that could come back to bite. It can also come back as ineffective assistance of counsel. But if counsel went in and argued, which we've been discussing that for this particular expert, and the fact that the JAC does not want to pay this rate, I said, don't we have emails from like 3 different experts asking for the exact same amount of money? Can you put those in a motion to the court? Can you have the expert testify by Zoom and explain the importance of having a juvenile evaluated, not because he's mentally ill, but there is trauma in his life, and you need to know what are the chances of rehabilitation. I happen to think this one kid in particular is perfect for rehabilitation. If he goes in for a really long time, he's going to be lost to the gangs. If he doesn't, he could be a lawyer. He is that smart. He is that charismatic. He got caught up in a bad situation at 16. Should he have to pay consequences for that? Yes. Does it make it right that one young man's life was lost and now 4 other young men will also basically lose their lives for that without any chance to ever live their lives? Like, that's, I struggle, right? I don't believe in locking a kid up for the rest of their life. Like, that's just, although I do believe some people do need to, because they are mentally unwell. It's a lot. So there's a lot always spinning through my mind. So sorry. Yes, Mandy Strong. It is called Not Another True Crime Podcast. Mel says like and subs are free. They sure are. Therapist, says bop it, twist it, do anything, please, to hit that like button. Really appreciate you. Hello, Maria Mueller, and welcome to the channel. OnlyFans says, okay, be right back. Signing into my second account. I love you, OnlyFans. Do you want my next channel to be called How to True Crime with PR Sam? There you go. Thank you, OnlyFans. We got 365. Appreciate you. Yes, I know ZR is you.
I didn't.
I was on a conference with the mods for Child TV Live, and I had never known OnlyFans' true name. And we were talking about, prospective mods. And I said, what about OnlyFans? And Aaron goes, what about OnlyFans? I said, well, I think he'd be really good. That's him right there. Oh my God. Of course. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Oh God. Okay. So, all
right,
right,
let's talk about what we're moving into next.
Yes, absolutely. We should. What we are moving into is a new little series. So I've decided what I'm going to do is we're gonna continue to follow the cases that are ongoing that you guys are watching, with the caveat that I do the best I can. I can't follow all the details all the time, but you are free to leave comments below any of my videos, or email me at floridapisam@gmail.com, or Jenny. I put community posts. I put up community posts every week in the hopes that y'all will communicate with me. Because if you bring it to my attention, hey, there was this hearing on this day with this issue, is that something you can talk about? Then yeah, I'll go find it, right? But I can't predict what you guys are going to want to talk about. And I want to focus on the things that the other channels aren't. Like I said, there are great lawyers who are going to break down the in-court arguments, like the in-trial arguments for you. I'm interested in bringing you what happens from crime to trial, and then even still some through trial, and then conviction and incarceration or whatever punishment is coming. So the best way you could help me to bring content that you want to watch is by communicating with me. So that would be fantastic. The next series that we are going to, yes, it's Florida Sam at Florida PI Sam, sorry, at gmail.com. And here's Jenny's, which is, I say her last name wrong, so I'm not going to say it. Reisinger. I always say Reisinger, I think, with a hard G. So what we're going into is what I'm calling the power of prosecution. And we are going to be paying close attention to prosecutions of the cases we are currently watching, right? These battles that are going on over the evidence. But besides that, I have other pieces I want to bring into it. We want to look at prosecutorial misconduct. We want to look at law enforcement. And to that end, I have a book I'd be interested in talking about. I don't know if anybody's going to be interested in reading it or listening to it. It is available through the Libby library app. At least it was for me. I need to renew my library card, to be honest. And then there's a documentary on Netflix, which is upsetting. Jenny watched it. She cried. It is upsetting.
It's like today, no makeup. I'll be doing the same thing that day because I'll be crying when we talk about it. I know I will. So
I don't know if you guys are going to be interested in watching a documentary and discussing it. And while I was thinking about it earlier, I thought of another one, and just seeing that perspective, because it was very eye-opening to me, hugely eye-opening to me. So the documentary is the Khalif Browder story.
I'll put it in.
And that's on Netflix. And the book is, we just figured it out right before I came on. I had it wrong, of course. So the book is called Charged: The New Movement to Transform, by Emily Bazelon. So Brian Stevenson, who is an author of many a legal treatise, says an important, thoughtful, and thorough examination of criminal justice in America that speaks directly to how we reduce mass incarceration. This harrowing, often enraging book is a hopeful one as well, profiling innovative new approaches and the frontline advocates who champion them. And it was a finalist for a number of prizes. It was named one of the best books of the year by NPR, New York Public Library, Library Journal, Publishers Weekly. And it just, I don't think you can restream on Netflix. No, I don't think. Mandy is saying, can we watch it together? So Jenny has put this up. Let me put this up. Sorry. So, what's the time that you have in there? The Khalif.
It's called
Oh,
Time.
that's the
Khalif
name of
Browder
it?
story.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So on Netflix, it's called Time, the Khalif Browder story.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's on Netflix. Mandy says, can we watch it together?
don't think so.
OnlyFan says
Yeah.
he doesn't think we can restream on Netflix. They block, but maybe OnlyFan can help me figure a way around that.
It's like a 6-part series too.
Okay, so Mel, the book is there. Here we go. It's in the chat, guys. It's Charged by Emily Bazelon. I listened to it a couple of years ago. I don't even know if I was an investigator yet. I might have just been at the law office, and it blew me away. Now, you're not obligated to read that book. I don't know if there's any interest in this. I am trying to weave into my live streams different perspectives, because what I understand from my life experience is that information from various different sources, different perspectives, is a really good way to learn. And what I want you to learn is from different perspectives. So his name was Khalif Browder. Mandy, you can do a free trial of Netflix or reach out to a friend. Can I stream it on Discord? Somebody would have to teach me how to use Discord, and then I'd have to teach everybody else how to get on it. But I will work on, here's what I'll tell you, is I will work on trying to figure out how to bring it to you guys, or at least bring pieces of it to you, okay? I don't have Netflix. I don't pay for Netflix. Well, I have it, but I don't pay for it. I'm on someone else's account. Dr. Shrinklet, he was trolling me, and so he's my friend. So this is something we're trying. Yeah, so Discord is hard. I think so too, Mandy. And so I'm going to work on this. And I don't even know if this is something you guys are interested in. So again, I'm requesting your feedback. I will put up a community post probably tomorrow, and I'll put the book information and also the documentary information. And while I was thinking about it, I think the second season of Making a Murderer has pieces that are really, really good.
I love that one.
The first season is a slog with the phone calls, but the second season, where they bring in the appellate attorney Kathleen Zellner,
I haven't seen the second season. I didn't know
oh my God, I worship that woman. Like, I would love to be her. She's a badass.
Write that down.
So these are some things we're gonna look at. So we're gonna look at some of what I'm encountering in my work. Some of my cases are new-ish, like they happened within the last year. Oh, hey, sir, how you doing? Some of my cases are going on 6, 7 years old now, which I find that to be problematic.
I'll be finding out.
So we're going to try to interweave what we're currently watching on YouTube, right? What I'm currently coming up against as a investigator here in Florida, and some other resources, right? Like, for example, this book and this documentary. And even if like, I don't want anybody to think they have to go out and spend money. There's no pressure here. The book is available through the library.
We can't hear you. We can't. Did your battery go dead?
It didn't go dead. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm muted. I forgot the cord to hook myself into the cord. Anyway, what I was saying is, I don't want anybody to spend any money. I don't want anybody to feel obligated for any of this. It's an experiment. We're going to try it. We're going to see how it works. I'm going to try to figure out how to bring you pieces of the content. If if you're not interested in reading it. But we're going to try to weave things together so that it's not just another discussion of what's happening on YouTube in the current cases, but that we're interweaving different parts. I'm sorry I muted. I don't know why I muted. Well, Mandy, that's very kind of you. Says, I hope your clients know how blessed they are when you get assigned their case. Well, they think so at first until they figure out I can't work a miracle, and then they don't think so much anymore. I don't know why I'm muted. I normally have, there's battery left in this, but I normally plug an audio cord in. So, Tanika said library was the word. You're back. Yes. So if you're interested, again, we'll put up a community post. Jenny put both the book and the documentary in the chat. We're just going to see what works here.
If not, we have a lot of information about that. So
I want to keep bringing you the challenges that I'm facing on a daily and weekly basis, because sometimes they love you at the start and they're really happy, and you do the best you can for them, and maybe you are able to really mitigate and get them a fair outcome, and they'll turn on you in a second and decide it wasn't good enough or that you didn't do something right.
I'm sure I'll be hearing that in the jail calls I'll be getting. So
it's hard.
But I won't be able to discuss it with them. So
it's hard though. I think one of the reasons why I like being here on and doing this little bit on YouTube is I get validation from the chat, like from having an interaction, because otherwise it's me and Henry and sometimes Scotty, although I talk to him frequently because we work all the same cases. And then it's me going to the jail, and sometimes that goes well and sometimes it doesn't.
If I was in Florida, I'd go with you, but I'll just take the phone calls.
And so I did have a question before I wrap this up, because it's getting a little long. In my email, Barb Ellison asked, how do you become a PI? So in the state of Florida, it is done by statute. And so I'll find the statute and put it up. Basically, the way it's supposed to work is that you find a person with an agency license. That's an A license. I have an A license because I own my own agency. I also have a C license, which is what's required to be a private investigator. The way you go about doing that is you find someone with an A license who's willing to sponsor you. You are supposed to do 2 years of an internship and take state designed classes and pass an exam at the end. I didn't do all of that. Billy Lane was my sponsor. Prison Break Investigations, you know him from Sarah Boone, among others. I had hired him as an investigator for a death penalty case and said, hey, I'm really interested in what you do for a living. Will you talk to me about it? What I was able to do was I didn't have to do the internship and I didn't have to do the classes. But the only reason why is because I went to law school and I could list a litany of classes, evidence, criminal procedure, civil procedure, constitutional law. Just on and on and on, that was applicable to being an investigator. So I waived 1 year the internship that way. I waived the second year because of the job I had, which, as I've explained before, I worked with a sole practitioner primarily in defense, in criminal defense, on these court-appointed cases. And I was able to just sort of explain what it was I did for a living, and they waived me through. I still had to pass the test. It was not difficult. It's completely based on the statute. You find out right then and there if you pass. You pay a lot of money for a background check. For fingerprinting, I'd already done all of that to get my internship clearance from the Florida bar, but the state's always willing to take your money for you to do it again. So that's how I got my C license, and I worked under Billy in Prison Break for a couple of years, and then I applied for my own agency license, and I've got it now, and so I have my own contract with the JAC, and I am hired on private work, usually criminal defense. Um, Anybody can hire me. I mean, I'm allowed to work for whomever, but my contract, I have a vendor contract with the JAC, which, like I said, a court order gets me paid. So, yeah, that's how it works. I bill on the 10th of the hour, just like an attorney does. I have to submit very detailed
I will.
invoices.
But you
And
need to teach me.
yeah,
And you'll be training me. So
yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So that is how I
and how often do you have to have it? You have to
became.
renew it, renew your license.
Oh, yeah. So I do. I have to renew my C license um every 2 years, and I don't remember about my agency license, but I guess I better be checking that. Mandy says it's the 19-year-old nice to you. Which one?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Right now, it feels like all my clients are teenagers. Yes, most of them are nice and are happy and are grateful. Um, the parents aren't always. Some of the most of my clients are in the county jail. So, I never know whether wishing them a happy Thanksgiving or a Merry Christmas is a cruel thing to do or a kind thing to do. So I do nothing.
Right.
But like the one kid I've been talking about, his birthday was on Halloween, so we went and saw him on his birthday for Halloween. And a lot of times they walk out with a smile on their face, even though we don't have anything fantastic to tell them. They're just happy to see someone.
Yeah.
And there's no personal contact visit between like family and friends. You can go to the jail, but you're gonna be in the one part of the jail on a video call to them in another part of the jail. You're not going to see them face to face. I have contact visit, which means I go in the same room with them and the door is shut and a deputy checks on me and there's a panic button on the wall.
Wow.
So a lot of times they're just happy to have the contact, and I haven't been to the jail in a minute, and so I think we're gonna go next week. And they limited, like, now we can only see 5, and then we have to go back up front and wait, and it's like 2.5 hours, sometimes 3 hours. So there we go. Okay,
Do you ever go to
so
prison?
I have not, and getting into a prison is much more difficult. Just orchestrating a phone call with someone who's in Florida State Prison can be a problem, and technically, because I'm not a lawyer, like phone calls to me or emails back and forth on the tablet, those are not privileged. My communications with them is not privileged, so I literally have to go in person to speak to them on privileged information. Whereas if you're an attorney with a bar number, you can set it up so that they're not recording the phone or they're not recording the virtual visits, and they're not supposed to be reading the correspondence. So Mel says the truth is good and no railroading. I agree. Thank you. Laura says we're doing great. Let's see. Matt says the only reason I mentioned Discord is there are some things you can do on there that you can't on YouTube. It's not for everyone though. Yeah, I'm a little worried, honestly, about the learning curve for Discord, but I'm going to work into this. So Mandy says I would pay to hear Billy Lane talk about his long trip down Boone Road, but I bet he won't talk about it.
Definitely a long trip.
So you're right. I don't know that he will. I was texting with him all through Sarah's trial and her sentencing and everything. He's agreed to come on. He's got a really cool nonprofit that I'd like him to talk about, but I don't know if I want to subject him to a live stream or if I want to have you guys submit questions. I haven't decided yet how I want to do it, and I need to talk to Billy.
So yeah, maybe we can see if what he's up for.
He didn't even know I was on YouTube, and one day I got a text message, and he says, it was when I was a guest on another channel, you couldn't see my face. And he said, "Is this you? I recognize your voice." I'm like, "Yep."
So
the one I went evaluated, yes, Mandy, he is very good.
Would he be in the appellate issue? I mean, if she gets an appeal, would he be in the appellate process too?
No, it won't come back. Would anything come back on him?
I mean, will he be involved in anything appellate
Oh,
speaking?
probably not.
Okay.
So there's a kind of a misconception about appeals, and like I said, I don't want to keep you guys too long, but just so you know, and so Sarah knows, I'm sure you guys, like, I don't underestimate your knowledge about this stuff, but not everyone who is watching is a true crime person, and they're watching because they're here to support me as their friend or their family member. So the appellate, see, there's my mom checking out for the night. uh, the appellate process does not involve going to court and talking to the judge. It is
Right.
an attorney who is reviewing the court record in private and writing a brief.
It's a separate
Sarah
lawyer too.
Sarah is not going to get to do the things that Sarah does. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
So it's not a process where you usually even meet the appellate attorney. It's a written process for the most part for your initial appeal. There are other appeals that come down the road. There's different levels to it, right? Okay, so let me get back to chat and then I'm gonna let you go. Um, does he have anyone to put money on his commissary? Yes, he does. Mandy says, off topic, but Sarah is going to be very happy when she gets to Lowell. The food is apparently really good. Off topic. I would direct you to Tanika's 2 cents because she's
Yeah.
following Journey.
She's got like a whole thing on everything that she
Oh
eats
yeah,
and
it's
has in her
really
commissary.
entertaining too. Leah says, I would love to hear about his nonprofit. It's a really cool nonprofit. And I'd rather he explain it to you than I do, but it's a great idea. And um, also, fun fact, I was watching 2020 one night. It was 2020. And oh, it was during the Gabby Petito thing. So I'm watching it and I see Dog the Bounty Hunter. Then I see Billy and they're getting on a boat. Texted him, I'm like, I just saw you on 2020. And he's like, oh, can you send that to me? Uh let's see. Mandy says, I can understand because he has attorney-client privilege, right? I don't know who you're referring to.
Billy Lean.
Um, yes, okay, everybody loves Tanika. We are all in agreement about Tanika. Even my mom has gone and checked out your channel, Tanika. OnlyFans says, live, please, if possible. Like I said, I need to have a conversation with Billy. I may need to bribe him. I'm not real sure. Mandy says, I just watched a stream of a girl who spent a year in Lowell. Lowell is one of the 3 female correctional institutions in Florida. Mel said, oh, wow, that had to be freaky to see that. It's interesting to me, like, sometimes I'll be scrolling through the internet and see the attorney that I worked for a very long time talking to a defendant I know. If you caught some like a segment on the news and you knew that I had long curly, it's really flat and gross right now, but I had long really curly hair and I always wear black, you could see me sitting at a defense table. It's always interesting to see our stuff in the news, and a lot of the cases that I'm working on and that I do work on are newsworthy, at least here in Tampa, and as I've said before, a number of them I do believe will be streamed. If they are streamed, Trial TV Live will know that ahead of time. Um, somebody asked if you would see me. Probably not. I will either be at the defense table or right behind it. Just depends on the number of lawyers that are there and the size of the courtroom. And I can bring to you the public facts of the case, and that'll be about it. But if my cases are streamed, and some of them have been in the past, ones that I've worked on anyway, you will know, and Trial TV Live will be covering it.
And talk about
So,
something freaky. I have to bring up what I sent you today about what happened right down the road from me.
oh, I don't think I had a chance to look at that.
Yeah, it happened 6 minutes down the road. It just was released today. They found a body in the basement of someone's house. Someone was missing, and they arrested him. But yeah, 6 minutes down the road, off of the road, the main road I live on, they found a body in this basement. But it's West Virginia, so we might not hear anything about it for quite a while because they don't like to say a bunch. But just wanted to
I'll
put it
have
out
to
there.
go back
But there
and
was
read that.
a red room. There's a red room right down the
There's a
road.
red
So,
room.
right
Tanika says for your
down to
Billy
Thursday.
Lane interview, I would suggest pre-solicited questions. I agree. So you have them in advance. Lots of unplanned things can happen during a live. Better to plan what you can. Tanika, that has been my position as I've been thinking about it. And like I said, I need to discuss it with Billy. Let's see. Mandy says Sarah's going to have a rude awakening if she thinks she's going to boss other inmates around, but she's going to love the food.
Yeah.
Tanika says Billy had attorney-client privilege coverage, or is that otherwise under that cloak? Yes. Right. As investigators, we work under attorney-client privilege, and oddly, in Florida, there's a whole bunch of different privileges that don't exist in other states, and I would have to look it up to be able to tell you. But like therapist client privilege, there's priest, there's a whole bunch of them, and I don't remember what they are. Leah says I missed hearing about Sarah's antics. Go to Tanika's channel, Leah.
Yeah.
Tanika's 2 cents. She is doing very good work on following Sarah Boone down her path that she's working. So yeah, Mel says protect Billy and myself.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be as real with you guys as possible. I'm trying to show you stuff from my actual cases while obviously not active cases, and maintaining privilege that is required. But I also want you to see it, and I also want to maintain my reputation that I follow the law. So you guys bear with me, because I know that my presentation skills need work, and I am going to keep working on them. Trial TV Live, do you have a listing of the trials you were covering in 2025? Tanika's curious about Adelson, Daybell, and Richins specifically. Tanika, I think that they are resting tonight, but if you email Erin, she could probably tell you. I know that they are talking through. We've talked about it. I can't remember, and I don't want to speak on their behalf. Mandy says, in other words, Billy Lane cannot share the tea, but we can assume. You guys got a really good look at Sarah and all that is Sarah from her letters, and then her speaking in court. I had not even seen all that came out at trial, because we didn't have it all then when I was working on it. So I was stunned by some of what came out, because I stopped working on the case. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if I stayed on it a year, because Billy is much closer to Orlando, and it was such a nightmare trying to get to the jail, and she was a time suck. All of this stuff. Okay. Leah says, I try to watch all of Tanika's streams. Oh, Mel says, you're great. PIC, and we all love you. Appreciate you, Mel.
Yes, we do.
Tanika says, all of your information is amazing. It's a unique perspective that has been missing in the true crime community. Thank you, Tanika. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, definitely.
I appreciate your support of this channel very, very much. Rod Irish says, I don't think Sarah will survive prison. Karens don't do well in prison. I don't think she's going to have a choice, but I guess we'll find out.
I think she's going to have her own little following in there. I really do. I think she's going to be her own. There's going to be a Sarah spot. I really do.
Yeah.
They all seem to.
I'm kind of waiting. I'm kind of half expecting that we are going to see like a Piers Morgan interview with Sarah Boone. You guys saw more of Sarah, and Sarah was one of the more unique defendants. So you got a lot of information on her, and what I told you about being in her presence it's very similar to what you saw, which is I'm a good girl, but I'm a victim, but I'm a hero. And
It's all about
I
Sarah.
think she showed that on the streams.
Yeah.
Mandy said, we thought we had seen everything about Sarah Boone, then came the state's rebuttal.
Yeah.
Chin was on the floor. Girl, when I tell you,
my tears hit the floor.
It's
awful.
I could not.
Yeah.
Mel says, I love your unique perspective and information we don't get. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Thanks, Barb. Nice to see you. I hope you go back and watch. I did address part of your questions.
Yeah.
Mandy says, I wish I could remember the stream I just watched of the girl who spent a year in Lowell. Very interesting. I'll find it. Yeah, absolutely. And then either comment on the video or send us an email. Barb, I appreciate your feedback that you give me, and I responded to you. I know I was a little late. I appreciate you very much. It's good to see you. Tanika says, don't forget, she's a survivor. Tanika can say that much better than I can. She's talking about Sarah. Okay, so you guys, thank you so much for sticking with us for 2 whole hours. And like, we held our number for 2 whole hours. So I appreciate it. I can't believe that we're at 365 subscribers. Thank you, OnlyFans, for hitting there.
Hi,
Iris Dog says, thank you for your streams. I love hearing your take on current cases. Thank you.
Thanks for being
you guys,
here.
I'm going to say it again, and you're going to be so tired of it. Please, I need feedback on what you want me to talk about, because I can't watch all of the streams and keep up with all of the details and do my job. I just can't, because I have to read and I have to write and I have to analyze information. And there's only so much I can absorb
too.
But if you are able to pinpoint things for us, Jenny's a great researcher. She'll go find it. She'll send it to me. She'll put it in our Google Drive, whatever. But I can't guess what you want me to talk about, right? I can go through and say what I think is interesting, what I want to talk about, and try to, like I said, interweave content for you, but I can't read your minds. So
please go after even if it's like, if you go back and watch any of the videos, comment for us.
Please comment. Yeah, we see all the comments, even back from the beginning. We yes, we wish Mel a speedy recovery from her surgery. And yes, I rescued dogs. We've talked a little bit about the Cochran case. So let us hear from you, and I will put up a post tomorrow with the name of the information about the book and about the documentary. And like I said, I don't want anybody spending any money. I don't want anybody feeling obligated. And if maybe we end up doing it as a separate stream, so people who don't want to talk about it or whatever, they don't have to. So we'll figure that out. We're kind of learning as we go. Just like my presentation skills, we're learning as we go.
You're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. So you guys have a great rest of your weekend. I'm so glad that the cannonball fireworks did not go off during this stream, and that Sir Henry did not. I know you guys like Henry, but he can be really persistent. So thank you. We hope you guys have a great weekend, and we hope to see you again next Saturday.
We're starting our new
safe
series.
Out there.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.